Record. All right, you guys are being recorded, so act your best. Make your mama proud. Um, and like I said, we're gonna just hang out for a couple more minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're supposed to have 7 to 8 filmmakers joining us, but we'll give them a couple minutes. So welcome. Waiting just a couple seconds for the remainder of the people here. And if you can't change your name, no worries. Just make sure you kind of bring up your film title and your name every so often so the audiences know what we're talking about. All right. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us. My name is Jason Wolos. I am the shorts programmer here at the SF Indie Fest Shorts Festival 2021. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program Adventures in Bay Area Filmmaking Part 1. Even though all of you may not necessarily be from the Bay Area or living in the Bay Area right now, but that is kind of the underlying theme of this block, this program. We're lucky to have all the filmmakers here with us, joining us from different parts of the country, mostly the San Francisco Bay Area. Hey filmmakers, congratulations to all you guys. Thanks for submitting to the fest, and congrats for getting into the festival.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The underlying kind of thread is Bay Area filmmaking, but it is an eclectic mix of sorts, a little bit. There is, short narrative, kind of short doc, music video, animation, all kind of different, all interesting, but they all kind of take us on an adventure, if you will. So maybe just to start off real quick, briefly, introduce yourself. You basically who you are, your film, and then maybe your role, because sometimes we might have an actor, we might have a writer, we might have a director. Tell us your role in the movie that you're representing. And I'll call you out since it's seen, Zoom is presenting you differently than maybe to each other. So let's see. Adam, why don't you begin first, please?
Hi, I'm Adam Dillon. I'm a writer-director, and this is actually my first short. I directed Corners, which is about a jazz musician on the hunt to find the perfect corner to play on. Born and raised in Sacramento and live in San Francisco.
Right on. Thank you. Cal, I'll let you go next, please.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Cal Moreno. My film is Proto, which I wrote and directed, and it's about our smart devices taking over each other.
They are.
Yeah, originally from Baltimore, Maryland, but now living in San Francisco.
Very cool. Thank you. And Colin, aka Beth. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Beth Evans, and I am the director and producer of The Bubble. And The Bubble is a story about a woman who's trying to find her way into a 10-person social bubble once that is allowed for during the pandemic. And I live just north of Toronto.
Excellent. Great city. And then Allie, you're associated with that film, right?
Yeah.
Why don't I jump to you next?
Sure. Hi, it's so nice to see everybody. Thanks for having us. I am the actor in The Bubble, and happy to be here. I'm in Toronto, usually in New York or Toronto.
Thanks for joining us. Glad to have an actor here. Right on. Ryder, you're up next on my screen.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ryder Strong. I made the music video for the song We're In It by Typhoon. It's not like a typical music video, though. It's kind of a narrative short about two guys going into the woods and inventing a sort of time travel thing. And it all goes to hell.
Thank you. Joseph, I have you next on my screen. Hey, you're muted. Silent movies are still cool. Need to hear you.
They are. I'm Joseph Fletcher. I'm the co-director for Moving Meditation. Our film is a documentary about Eric Johnson, who is a professional skateboarder, and how his career was derailed when he had a run-in with incompetent and corrupt police officers. So it kind of examines, the justice system in America, but also looks at skateboarding as a tool for healing and dealing with trauma. So and I live in LA right now. I lived in the Bay for 4 years when we shot this film, and I'm from the East Coast, New Hampshire.
Excellent. Thank you, Joseph. And Ariel, you're next.
Hi, my name is Ariel Rose. I made Bolt Cutters Make Great Friends. I'm the director, writer, actress, many hats. I just moved out of the Bay Area. I was living in the inner Richmond and then also Marin for COVID. And I live in LA now, but I'm originally from Missouri, which is where the film was shot.
Ah, okay. Really cool. Well, excellent. Like I said at the beginning, now some of you joined us a little bit later. An eclectic mix of shorts here, very varied, a variety, but they definitely entertain us and keep us engaged. Maybe an icebreaker question also would be, what did you want audiences to feel? Did you want audiences to feel something after viewing your short? What kind of emotion or thing that you want them to take away? And you can jump in at any time. And I also encourage you, if you want, to ask each other questions at any time at the appropriate moments and expand upon any answers that you may hear. So feel free to communicate with each other. So who wants to go first? What kind of feeling were you hoping maybe someone would come away with after watching your short?
I'll go.
Ariel.
yeah.
I'll call Ariel. I'll call Ariel
Sure.
and then I'll call Beth.
Hi, I just wanted to make like I have a cat. I just wanted to make a heartwarming, like fun, kind of Pixar-esque live action. I just wanted people to feel good. I was stuck in the house for a long time and I just wanted people to smile.
Yeah, weren't we all? Well,
Yeah.
it did make me feel good. It was enjoyable.
Thanks.
Truly. Beth.
Thank you.
Ariel, your film did make me feel good, by the way. I had that feeling very much so. For me, I just wanted everybody, in the same way, I wanted everyone to sort of, whatever ridiculous situation they found themselves in socially, mostly during the pandemic, I just wanted everyone to have a bit of hope, because at the end of our film, you don't know if it's going to go her way or not, but it's just, we all were in these ridiculous situations that we have never been in before. And I wanted to sort of highlight some of the social dynamics that happened during the pandemic and how crazy it could actually be for some people. And then just end it with a little bit of hope, with no judgment on our character, just wishing her the best.
Yeah, it does that as well. And can you real quick, briefly, you two, maybe for the audiences watching, just what was the film about in its essence, real quick? Just so people associate what your answer was connected to.
Do you want to take that one, Allie, or would you like me to?
Sorry, muted. You go for it, Beth.
Okay. I think that what it was about in its essence was, I think I was sort of fascinated with the fact that when the pandemic hit, we were all stuck where we were stuck. So all the decisions we had made socially, in our career, in our relationships leading up to that moment, we were just very much stuck in that place. And it was sort of a profile of somebody who, we don't know the kind of decisions she had made, although we can make some guesses at, through her behavior and stuff and the way that she talks to her friends and families, how she might have got to the point where she was in nobody's bubble, but through no fault of her own, she was stuck there. And to be faced with that and to be stuck in that situation is quite unfair, as she might have just been going through a moment in time where her priorities were out of whack or whatever, but she was very much stuck there. And it's watching somebody face that moment that without the pandemic would have never surfaced in her life, probably. Right. So that's what it's sort of about.
And then Ariel, real quick, what is yours about?
My story, Bolt Cutters Make Great Friends, a little self-explanatory. I have two cats actually, is about an introverted farmer who sees an infomercial and gets an idea that she can use bolt cutters to try and make a friend.
Excellent. And okay, who else would like to go next as far as, what did you hope that your film evoked in the audience?
I'll go. So there were two major takeaways that we wanted to portray in this film. And this film's about racial injustice while also being about the power of recreation. So obviously we wanted to bring awareness to what Black and brown people experience in America every day, but also to look at the importance of play and the importance of recreation for dealing with trauma and just being a necessary thing in all of our lives. So it's kind of heartbreaking, but also ends on a positive note. So it kind of toes the line between those two ideas.
Excellent. Thank you. Would you like to go next? Cal, I'll call on you.
Hey, yeah, I can go next. So I guess our film was also kind of born out of the pandemic nature and, being stuck inside and getting anxious. And it kind of started when our Alexa started having conversations with us and they'd be the ones to initiate it, which kind of freaked us out. And I'm sure we've all kind of been there. But yeah, so we basically, kind of got a little scared and we actually unplugged our Alexas. And I guess our film was more supposed to make people just like question, what technology is doing to us nowadays and, kind of ex machina vibes, how far can we take this? So, yeah.
Great. Excellent. And I think we got the writer. Ryder, how about you?
Yeah, I'm on the same anti-technology tip with mine. But I had the lyrics to the song were really it had kind of had its own story about a friendship that was being strained and a struggle as people were kind of growing apart. And the album that Typhoon had written in general was very much like a pandemic album, and it was a lot about the way not only splits within relationships but splits within the country we're going. And I just kind of wanted to make a really crazy out there adventure story, mostly because I just wanted to be in the woods making something. That was like my priority was like, I want to get out, I want to film something, I want to be outside, and I want to get like my talented friends together and just do something. So that was like my one, set of, criteria. And then it just evolved into, trying to make like a fable out of the lyrics, where this strained friendship, I've noticed in relationships that have like fallen apart for me, like you reach this point where you're arguing about who did what, and you did this, and then no, you did that, and then like you just start realizing you have to like look at your own past behavior, and like you can't get away from who you used to be and what you did to the person. So I just sort of wanted to make that like literal with time travel. So these two guys who like invent this amazing thing that should be positive and change the world for the better, they can't do it because they just screwed, they're always there, and then their relationship ultimately undermines it, which feels kind of like a parable for America right now in a lot of ways. It just felt right. So I wanted everyone to feel despair. Sorry.
Yeah, it kind of worked. And then how about Adam? What do you hope people would feel?
Yeah, since mine's a micro short, it's like 2 minutes long. And being a first-time filmmaker, I was really struggling with how to become a filmmaker. There's really no how-to manual. So this story kind of led to, it's a fake it till you make it story. But it was really to poke fun at myself of like, don't take being creative too seriously. There's this big lead up to the punchline at the end of the short. So yeah, I just wanted people to be either like, this is great, this is so dumb, it's 2 minutes, and it's just to bring a little bit of joy. But the bigger story is to kind of poke fun at, not taking yourself too seriously as a creative. That's kind of where it came from.
Excellent. Thank you. I want to take this opportunity, since we have Allie here too, and not to dwell on pandemic because it's in our lives all the time, but and this question could apply to all of you, but Allie, as an actress, artist, like, how are you guys expressing and keeping your creative juices flowing? How have you been doing that the last year and a half?
That's been strange. It's been really weird. Thank God I had this film to work on. I'm in a community and a class community that's been helping me a lot. At first, I was really resistant to doing acting classes on Zoom. I was like, that's not real connection. This is going to be not going to be good, but it's been really helpful. And it actually, in a weird way, I'm learning a lot about myself in terms of my film technique. But things are really busy. I'm auditioning a ton in Toronto right now, so I'm very hopeful that there's a bit of a backlog of work that's coming for all of us.
And how did your collaboration happen? How do you guys know each other?
I auditioned actually. I got the audition through Beth and the team were super professional and put it through some of the agencies in Toronto, and I auditioned.
Cool.
I got
And
lucky.
what about some of your other filmmakers? You know, how's the last year and a half treated you? What have you been doing creatively, making these movies? How are you keeping your sanity? Stuff like that.
Personally, I think it's been weird, but it's been kind of a great time to just sit with yourself and figure out like what it is that you really are gravitating towards when you're not work. I edited this documentary that I started 3 years ago. I made it a short. I made another short that's like more of a genre film. But I think a lot of my friends and fellow collaborators have been pretty productive in this time, even though it's felt really difficult because I don't have as much. I mean, as a freelancer, I don't have as much client work, so I'm just like sitting at home with my thoughts, and I think that's actually a pretty good time
Do
to
you,
make
do you
things.
think do you think this extra free time allowed you to finish this film?
Oh
Like,
my, 100%. I mean, I
like
spent like 1,000 hours editing a documentary. You're looking through hours and hours of footage,
Yeah.
and absolutely, I would not have been able to make this film without the pandemic.
interesting. How about someone else here? Like the last year and a half creatively. Yeah, Beth.
I would probably credit with the pandemic with us making this film as well, not just because of the content, but my husband was the cinematographer on the film, and he's been bothering me for a few years. Let's do a film. Let's do a film. Find me a script. Find me a script. And I just thought, oh, okay, but you never stopped working. And then he stopped working, and then we sat around looking at each other. He said, "Get a script. It's like we need a script. We need a script." And we put out a call for a script, and then we did it. And this was my first film, and I was scared, but we had the time and the space around us and the support and the equipment, and we did it. So I don't know if there would ever been a
Right.
moment when he wasn't working that hard for us to be able to do this. So
Yeah, as a filmmaker producer myself, the time that was created by the pandemic made me finally focus on those things maybe that were more important to me, as personal projects. It gave me that space and that time, like you guys are talking about, to actually finish some things or do some things for the first time that I've been thinking about and putting off forever. How about some of you other artists there?
Yeah, well, I went into the pandemic with really like focusing on writing and parenting because I have he was 5 at the time, so it was like let's just go into lockdown mode and this will be good for my writing. And I wrote 2 scripts and that was great, and I went in with a job, so that was good. But then when I was just writing on my own, I started to go crazy. I think that like making this music video for me was like, no, I can't just be a writer. I need like, part of filmmaking. The best part of filmmaking is the collaborative nature. And I realized like I couldn't keep just sitting here writing, that like is not sustainable. So that's like, I feel like this music video sort of saved me. I came back from it and I just couldn't stop talking for like 3 weeks, while we're editing. It was just like, oh, it was so fulfilling. Now I just know like, oh no, I just have to always be making something. It's the only way to kind of stay alive.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. I think I spent the first part of the pandemic sort of just writing and trying to get more ideas out there. But there's definitely ups and downs, and I think just managing the mental health was like a battle. And I don't think we're out of it yet. And I think it took a lot of actually breaks and just kind of stepping away from the projects, at least for me, to try to get myself straight and calm and all that. So.
And did you go? Anyone else not to answer that question? Everyone answer that question. Ariel?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
And yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, I was already taking time off to like write and create. So the pandemic in a way didn't shift that much for me. It did, however, help me get in contact with like production companies that normally would be busy. Most production companies in like Missouri are like for commercials and they're working all the time. But I wrote this pretty quickly. And also I'm an actress originally. So writing, it was just a way for me to work on things that I was actually excited about as an actor. And the production company that I worked with, Lock and Stash, are incredible, and they had time to actually work on a narrative with me, which I'm so grateful for.
Cool. Thank you. And Adam, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I heard somebody refer to this time as like the great pause, and that really resonated with me. I thought that was a really cool way of putting it. It's basically echoing everything that everyone has already said, that it was a really good time to take a step back. And that's actually when I discovered filmmaking. I've been a commercial photographer for the last 10 years, working in advertising. So yeah, I really resonate with this kind of idea of like the great pause. And I think for creatives, especially, that resonates with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the great things, one of the beauties of like short films is that, like a short film program, you have such a, a variety of films, and they can make you feel several different ways. You have several different stories, several different moods all presented to you. And you might not even like them all or have thought that you would, pick it if it wasn't in the program, but they make you feel something. And all your films definitely did that for me. They all create a mood. They all make you feel something, whether, it was the current mood of the country or the universe, or just, a nice escapism, or a nice, warm feeling, whatever the case may be. Can you share, and Allie, I'd like to bring you in on this every once in a while. And I want to hear from everybody. What was a favorite moment, either making the movie, a favorite scene watching the movie? What was a memorable favorite kind of experience with this film, The Bubble?
When I read the script, I was like, oh, it's me 5 years ago. So that was a really memorable moment. She's just a Gong Show Looney Tune party animal, which, we all have our days. So that I remember very well, reading it and being like, okay, yeah, I feel like I can have fun with this. But there was a moment in the last day that we were shooting, Beth found this beautiful mural, and we didn't even know if we were going to get permission to shoot it, which is another story, which we eventually did. But just that last sort of moment together, shooting the final walk, and it was just a beautiful Toronto day, and it was sunny and bright, and the connection to be able to work with people after being so isolated on a set I just remember feeling that and being like, we're going to be okay, we're going to make more art.
Mm-hmm.
So that stands out for me.
Nice. Someone else?
For me, I don't know if you guys remember Robert the cat, but he was a big concern for the production company. He's literally just
at the end of the movie. Is that?
Yeah. He was in the beginning of the movie too, and he was a big concern because he's like literally just a cat that lives on the farm that we shot on. And there was talk of like, oh, there's a lady in St. Louis who has trained cats. Like, should we look into that? And I was like, no, I think it's going to be fine. And he became like the star of the set.
You didn't have a cat wrangler. Luckily, it sounds like you're a cat person, so that came in handy.
I know. There's a lot of cats like circling me right now. Like, I like everything, but cats are easy. And yeah, he was the shining moment. If you look back at the very end when he like cuddles with he like winks at the camera for a second, which ties perfectly with like the mood and the music. But he was just so well behaved and so chill. I'd never worked with an animal on set, and he did a great job.
Yeah, when you're making, I'm a filmmaker too, and you're making movies, especially independent movies, they say like, what are the three things to kind of stay away from in your first film? Like kids, animals, and food, I think, or something like that. And,
yeah, and oh my God, a cat, like so unpredictable.
Uh-huh.
I had like a whole second script if it didn't work at all, of just like his absence felt, because like we really didn't know what we were getting into with him.
That could prompt me to the next question, but let's stick on this one. Like, what were the challenges of making your movie? And it could be your cat, the cat. Anyways, but other people, favorite moments while making, or even the favorite scene and the end result. Ryder, I'll go.
Favorite.
I was going to say, just for me, like I just so much of I was trying to tell so much story silently, and I'm a playwright, a screenwriter. So for me, that was like, oh, I'm still used to relying on dialogue. And so I spent so much energy, storyboarding and cutting storyboards to like creating animatics to the song and figuring out all these beats. And then like at the end of the day, I still like when we showed up, it was still the actors that made everything happen. And it just made me appreciate actors like all over again. It's just like, oh my God, acting is so magical. And like, you know, I had to have a Zoom meeting with these guys, and these are friends of mine, but you know, they didn't know each other. And like our first Zoom meeting, I was like, okay, well, you know, here's the, and they both just started going off on the technology they had invented and like all this backstory about like how they were using the life of tree time. And I was just like, wow, okay. And then, you know, when we got on set and I had to like, we had this fire scene where I was like, well, you guys start off celebrating, but by the end of the night, you're like too drunk and you hate each other. Can we figure that out? And we just rolled, and I just would shout out things, and the actors would just like, and they were just improvise. I wish I'd recorded audio. We shot for like, you know, half an hour, and they just improvised this whole night around the campfire while we just got coverage. And it was just like, oh my God, actors are so awesome.
Nice.
So even in a project where I was sort of underestimating the importance of actors, I was like, nope, that they're like the central thing. You just, when, you know, and they saved my ass so much, like so much of the story you can just tell from a look, you know, I didn't have to worry.
You were in the moment. It's great that you embrace that. Sometimes you get caught up in the process of filmmaking and it's a whirlwind and you're like, did I enjoy this?
Yeah.
Hey, so Adam, you were going to speak too.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the film, when she plays her trumpet absolutely horribly. So we shot it in the downtown Sacramento. So behind camera was a restaurant of probably 100 people sitting outside eating. And she's like, you sure? Like, you want me to play trumpet horribly? I was like, absolutely, go for it. So everyone's having this nice Italian dinner, and she just starts wailing on this trumpet as if she's never played it before, ever. And oh my God, the look on everyone's face on the opposite side of the street, and people started like yelling, like shut up and all this thing. That was just the pinnacle, because I'm like, oh, this short is going to be so funny because everybody who's here hates this person right now. So it was just pure joy to like do that to a giant group of people and film it at the same time. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Who'd like to go next?
I think for me, the most rewarding thing was just like the relationship building with my subject and kind of that relationship forming over several years. And there was a moment where, you know, his whole thing is like the community building aspect of skateboarding and how important it is to have community. And there's a scene at the end of the film where the skate park in the heart of West Oakland that saved so many kids' lives is just full of people. And there's an event put on by the community, and you can just see there's just like a visual for his sort of whole thing about how skateboarding saves lives, and the energy in that scene is just so beautiful, and all the kids and everyone's just around and celebrating. And for me, that just kind of like, it made me understand what he was talking about on such a deeper level, and I hope it communicates that with the audience as well. But that was just a moment for me that I was just taken aback. It was a beautiful moment.
It's a beautiful film too.
Thank you.
Just mesmerizing. Yeah. Beth, did you go?
No, but I will. I had a lot of wonderful moments doing this. I had a lot of moments of delight where the actors brought something I didn't expect, or Colin did something I didn't expect, where I was just like, my breath was taken away. But the one that I remember the most is Allie, when she comes down to meet her ex-boyfriend for the first time, and she takes her mask off and it goes flying, and then her sunglasses fall onto her back, and she's scrounging around, and she comes up, and I just thought, this is a perfect clown moment, and you couldn't have done it. If you tried to do that moment, it would have never worked. And it just, that all the chaos happened, and I just remember staring at the monitor like, what a gift. Oh my God. And then she just went with it and got up, and her hair was a bit messed up, and she went with it. And I was like, man, just that ability to play continuously delighted me the whole time. I worked with Allie and the rest of the cast and the crew. And it filled me up so much. But that moment sort of describes what it was like to work on that set, on that film.
Excellent.
Oh, and I can go. So I guess for me, when the timing worked out on our film, that's when I was most happy, because weren't able to film this with the crew. It was just me and the two actors in an apartment. And so I knew there wasn't going to be much movement to the camera. It was going to be static. And that's kind of what gave the stylistic choice to tell the story from the perspective of the smart device. And so obviously I didn't want to use an Alexa because I don't want to be sued by Amazon yet. But so this is just like a 3D thing I printed, and we, stuck a little LED light in there, and the clicker didn't really work that well. And so whenever like we had to like call Proto and we wanted it to light up, it didn't always happen. So when like we were able to get it to light up, we got our lines delivered, everything kind of fell into place. That was when I was happy.
When it worked out.
Yeah.
Well, then this is a nice little segue into challenges, since that was kind of a challenge, and we had the cat cooperate with us, luckily, on Ariel's film. Cal, any other challenges with filmmaking this project, with making this project, other than Proto, aka Alexa?
Yeah, I think part of the challenge was just, having such a small crew, being able to do everything efficiently, because indie filmmaking is budget filmmaking, right? And it's like we're only using a weekend rental for the equipment and stuff like that. So just getting it all done in time was definitely a challenge, and just able to plan our scenes out and wait for nightfall to hit and not have too crazy of late of nights. So I think just getting it done with such a small crew, which made me so much more thankful for when I do have a crew, and it takes a mountain to build films, and making films is so hard. So I was very thankful, when we shot our next film, to have everyone back.
And as far as independent filmmaking, you always want to like have a tight, smaller crew. You always kind of dream and wish to be very stealth and mobile, but you need the collaborators, right? And that just
Totally
can provide its own challenges. Who else? What kind of challenges did others have?
I mean, I had a lot, and in the best way. Like nonverbal storytelling, like Ryder, what you were saying, is very difficult. I would say for me though, like being in front of the camera and also in charge of like what the shot looks like was complicated. We didn't have any rehearsal time beforehand. So like my AD didn't even know what I was doing. So like the first day was us getting to know each other, and like I needed somebody to be like, hey, like that take's not working, I need you to like do it again. But he was so nice and like not ready to say that to me on the first day. Luckily we had like mobile screens so I could see what the shot was while I was sitting in it. But that's complicated. Like there were some times where I had to rely on somebody else to direct a scene because we were running short on time, and then you go into the editing bay and you're like, oh, that's not exactly what I was thinking, but what can you do?
Mm-hmm. Other story.
We had basic weather and gear issues, just like I think we fell a full half day behind. Our first day was awful. And we had this whole, my DP had promised me that we could do this whole car mount on the front of the car while we were driving. And then of course, because we were falling so far behind, it was like the night before, like, that's probably going to take us too much time. We're not going to be. So of course I had to like rearrange the entire second half of the, but luckily again, my actors saved me. Like my one, both of them were like really good at stunts. And I had this whole image of like, okay, when they're driving into the woods, I want it to be a static shot on the hood of the car of them like laughing and talking and hanging out. And then when they're driving back, it's just like, 30 seconds of them staring straight ahead, not friends anymore. And one of my actors was like, well, why don't we just go back to that one spot in the trees and I'll just fall. And the other guy will just keep walking, like just completely, and we'll just be able to demonstrate how far the relationship has come. Like, and I was like, oh, that's it, and so we say, I was still able to get the story beat I wanted, but like, yeah, equipment completely. I always, you always get screwed by equipment and time and
these are all filmmaking production challenges that always arise.
Always. Yeah, so you just gotta learn to roll with it and not completely freak out.
How about some of the others? Joseph, as a documentarian, what kind of, you don't have these narrative kind of challenges, but I know it's
yeah. I mean, you definitely have challenges. I would echo Cal with the resource limitations. I shot it, I directed it, I edited it. So leaves much to be desired in the quality department. When I watch it, I'm like, wow, I wish I had a DP on this, or I wish I could, hire a sound designer.
Were you able to handle the multi, role? Like I always dream of like, hey, I'd like to act in one of my movies I direct, but it's like I'll never be able to do that. Did you find that you were a little bit scattered or distracted by having multiple hats?
I mean, there are certainly things that fall through the cracks, things that I couldn't just keep my mind on while also focusing on the story and in the shot list and in communicating with the talent. I mean, the subject of the documentary is a real person. He lives a real life. He wasn't always able to be there. So there's a lot of times where you just have to use force of will to get the person in the place to shoot what you need to shoot. And then also, like, I guess the biggest challenge for me was probably working with really difficult subject matter that, like, personally, I didn't have much experience with. You know, I've never experienced racism on the level that Eric has, or, you know, so really relying on him to tell his story and for me to come from the place of understanding the power of recreation and skateboarding, which is what originally kind of connected us together. But yeah, resource limitations for sure. And, you know, with a documentary, you're never really done. You're never really sure where the story ends. There's always more that can be added. So just telling, you know, being able to close the loop and put a bow on it, even though it's not perfect and it'll never be perfect, is this has been a big exercise in that.
Excellent comments. And then other challenges, even Allie, you can, was the director very challenging? I mean, you can.
Oh, you wouldn't even believe. Nicest woman in the world. We had one, this was a favorite memory too. We had one computer to spill water on that had to work, had to be on, and we had to splash the water on it. And it worked out. It worked out. If you see the scene, you'll see it. But that was sort of we were talking about the favorite memories. I'm like, that was a bit stressful at first, but we made it through.
And you know, as an actor, since I'm a filmmaker director, what's a challenge from your perspective of being on set? Is it waiting and staying in character? You know, what can you share with us directors as far as?
I'm like a weird actor. I love when I do a theater production. I love tech day. I love all the things that people are like, we hate this part. I love just being on set. I like being around. I do different things as well as acting. So I don't know, I'm always taking in, you know, the different roles and trying to learn. But I think that, I don't know. I really love it. If I have a day on set, I'm pretty happy. So I'm maybe not the right person to ask.
Well, that's good. No, it tells me it's like you want people that want to be there. They believe in the project. So it won't be waiting around and boring, really. I mean, they're still striving towards the finished product.
Yeah, I'm auditioning for all kinds of sizes of things right now. And if I get an audition for a very small part, I'm still really happy to get it. So I hope that I never lose that. But, you know,
Me too. And then, Adam, did you add to this topic, challenges?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is we decided, especially for our first film, to shoot it on 16 millimeter. So we shot it on a 109-degree day. So ultimately, we ended up shooting a 10-hour day in the heat, and then the sealing on the canister melted and exposed all the film. So, but because of COVID and like lockdown and other things, we had to wait 6 months to be able to get everyone back together to do it again. And so I just didn't give up shooting on film. So we shot it again on film. In the winter time, so it was like a full year to get this 2-minute film made. But yeah.
Wow. Film. Well, unfortunately, we don't have much more time. Anything anyone else would like to add or ask your fellow filmmakers? Now's your chance.
I have a question for Ryder. The look that the two characters give each other when they see their friend at the end of that, are they gonna kill him, or are they like happy to see him, or do they just all hate each other now? Like, or is it a secret and you just want it to be up to our interpretation?
I always intended that they just all hate each other right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Because originally I wasn't originally thinking that they would be directly, like I was hoping that they would be pulling up perpendicular to him in my original like storyboarding. And then our DP was like, no, let's just pull up. So now it totally looks like they're just aiming right for him, which I also kind of love. Like you might not notice, but he's hidden in the woods. He's the figure running through the woods. So there's also this potential that he's been time traveling to like undermine all of their stuff. And then you can see his face hidden between the trees at one point early on in the video when they're first walking in. So I love the idea that he's maybe the secret villain of the whole thing. And that, you know, even though they brought him back to life, like he's undermined them by going back. And yeah, so now they got to kill him. I love that because I've gotten that. A lot of people have said that now. And I'm like, oh, sure, that works.
Anyone else for each other? All right. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. It's great meeting all of you, even if it's virtually. I wish it was in person, but maybe we'll see some of you at the Roxy, hopefully. But it's been great to do this with you. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure working with all of you, meeting all of you. Thanks for participating here and at the SF Indie Shorts Fest and sharing your work with us. I wish you much success, a great festival, and a great festival run, or whatever the future may hold for your films and your careers. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Great work, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Talk to everyone.
All right.
Thank you
Ciao.
so much.
Ciao.
Can we
Thank
take a
you.
picture?
Woo! Have a good one. Ciao.
Have a good one. See ya.
Right.